You wake up, it is 7:42 a.m., 18 minutes ahead of your alarm, your body's internal clock already calibrated to this new, unforgiving rhythm. You lie motionless on the floor of your brand new apartment on a twin XL mattress, the only piece of furniture you own. The unit runs you $2,400 monthly, and you learn the hard way it came completely unfurnished, with no basic couch or desk included. You let the weight of every sacrifice sink in for one quiet beat. Your mind drifts back to the endless nights cramming GMAT practice questions while every friend you knew was out grabbing post-work drinks. The 7 full rewrites of your personal Why Pursue an MBA admissions essay. The professional reference who dragged their feet for 6 weeks to submit a letter you had practically written for them from start to finish. The torturous limbo of the waitlist, refreshing your email hourly for months on end. Now you carry a $240,000 financial obligation, a contract promising to reshape who you are entirely. Every grueling hurdle led straight to this exact moment, a mattress on bare floorboards, marking the opening morning of your reimagined life. You are built for battle. Today, that warrior walks into MBA orientation. You pull onto campus 30 minutes ahead of the scheduled start time. Serious candidates do not cut corners, and you intend to stand apart. A bubbly administrative staffer hands over a branded canvas tote and plastic lanyard, which you snap around your neck without a second thought. The main atrium floods with blazers, slacks, polished business casual outfits, and stiff, performative eye contact. Networking buzzes everywhere, every student pushing small talk hard even if none of them fully grasp what meaningful connection actually means. You shake one stranger's hand, then another. Somewhere across the room, a man barks out an overblown laugh at a bland throwaway line that was not meant to be funny. A guy immediately asks about your professional background before bothering to ask your name. Once he shares his resume bullet point, you respond by asking whether he spent time at Meta. He tells you that he is a former Meta employee, delivering the information with the heavy gravitas of someone disclosing a battlefield medal. He explains that he was there through the entire corporate restructure and references the company's layoff cycles. You have zero clue what he is talking about. Over the next 9 months, you will uncover that he only held the Meta role for 7 weeks before the cuts hit. Still, he will introduce himself as a former Meta employee at every single campus event from this day until graduation, even during the speeches at his own wedding down the line. You nod politely and tell him that he has an impressive background. It is the default script everyone cycles through here. Every person you meet boasts an impressive resume. Every backstory lands as uniformly stellar as the last. Staff herds the entire cohort into a massive auditorium for the official welcome keynote. You sit beside another student who, 90 seconds into small talk and entirely unprompted, launches into a story about his girlfriend's high school alma mater. You ask where she is originally from, trying to keep the conversation light and courteous. He tells you that she attended Trinity, the elite prep school in Manhattan. He refers to Manhattan as the city with the dramatic weight others reserve for talking about wartime deployment. You make the naive mistake of mentioning that you attended a public high school down in the American South. His enthusiasm evaporates instantly. He scans every row of seats, hunting for another attendee who will recognize the Trinity name. 20 minutes later, you watch him corner a female classmate who mentioned growing up in New York. It clicks for you then. His girlfriend's prep school is not just a random biographical detail. It is his entire personality, wrapped up in one status symbol. You silence the quiet voice nagging in the back of your brain, the one pointing out these strangers will be your daily peers for the next 2 full years. You tell yourself that the thought is ridiculous. The admissions blog swore this would be the most gifted, inspiring cohort the institution had ever assembled. This space is where you will find your genuine people, your lifelong professional tribe. When the keynote hits a short break, you cross paths with someone who feels genuinely grounded and unpretentious. You chat for 20 straight minutes, steering clear of business school resumes, recruiting timelines, or corporate ladder talk entirely. He shares his goal to break into biotech venture capital, and his passion for the space feels authentic, not like a memorized talking point rehearsed for recruiters. As you split off to head back to your seats, he pulls out his smartphone and suggests grabbing drinks later to catch up. He asks for your number and you type it out immediately, your heart buzzing with excitement. This is the connection everyone talks about, the core value of an MBA's legendary alumni network. He never sends a single text. For the rest of your 2 years on campus, you will spot each other across the atrium repeatedly, exchanging hollow, distant nods, the silent acknowledgement of 2 people who almost forged a real friendship. Post-graduation, he accepts a full-time consulting offer with BCG. The auditorium lights dim. The director of career services strides up to the podium. She carries the weary, practiced energy of someone who has delivered this identical speech to 7 prior cohorts, watching every single one spiral into frantic recruiting panic right on cue, like clockwork. She instructs everyone to look around the room. You scan the crowd. The former Meta employee is mid-selfie, angling his camera to capture as many branded tote bags as possible. She tells the audience that the person seated beside them could grow into a Fortune 500 CEO, launch a transformative startup, or even serve in the US Senate someday. She declares that every single person in the room is there to change the world. A sarcastic thought flickers through your head. You wonder whether changing the world is a mandatory talking point before someone inevitably ends up testifying before Congress about corporate misconduct a decade down the line. A collective rush of ego and validation washes over the auditorium. 300 people who walked away from stable careers to drop six figures on this degree all simultaneously convince themselves her speech is directed solely at them. Your chest swells with pride. You will change the world. You have not locked in a clear path yet. Private equity sounds ideal. Product management is a solid backup, but you're keeping an open mindset. That life-altering impact feels tangible, inevitable, just within reach. She keeps the keynote rolling. She repeats the line about this being the most accomplished incoming class the school has ever hosted, a phrase she will deliver verbatim to next year's incoming students without alteration. She states that your only hard limit is the height of your own ambition. She urges the room to lean fully into the MBA experience and trust the winding journey, alongside a handful of other empty buzzwords that carry zero tangible meaning yet spark an intense emotional high. She skips any concrete details on recruiting application opening dates, the single critical piece of information that will consume every student's life 6 weeks from now, burying that logistical fine print deep within a generic follow-up email. For this moment, nothing exists but the relentless hype, and you soak every word up greedily. You exit the auditorium walking 10 feet taller, clinging to the vision of yourself as a future senator, a global changemaker. At the welcome happy hour that evening, you rack up 11 new LinkedIn connections, receive a vague, unfulfilled promise of a coffee chat from a second-year student who will never reply to your follow-up messages, and slowly piece together the full spectrum of personalities filling your cohort. There is the former Meta employee, who has rounded up 2 other former tech employees and is rehashing his corporate restructure origin story for the 100th time. There's the Trinity Prep School guy, locked in a passive-aggressive status showdown with a classmate from Greenwich, Connecticut, the pair flexing their hometown elite credentials like 2 stags clashing antlers. There's the biotech VC hopeful you connected with earlier, already entertaining an entirely new group of acquaintances, with no follow-up text in sight. There's the former management consultant who begins every rebuttal by acknowledging the previous person's point, using it as a filler phrase right before arguing against whatever the last person said. There's the finance track student who grills every new contact on target bulge bracket banks, physically slumping in disappointment when you admit you are weighing multiple industries instead of fixating on one. Buried in the crowd is a warm, genuine classmate originally from Lagos, Nigeria, someone you will eventually build a lasting friendship with, though you cannot predict that future bond yet. You linger at the edge of the party with a lukewarm beer, a quiet sense of quiet pride settling over you. You pull out your phone to shoot a text to an old friend back home. Your gaze sweeps across the venue, rows of identical canvas tote bags, plastic lanyard name tags, all the self-proclaimed future world leaders, the man who spent 7 weeks at Meta and built his entire identity around the short stint. One thought lands solidly in your mind. You think about how incredible this is and believe these people will become your lifelong tribe. You genuinely believe that statement too. You have not glanced at the official recruiting calendar once. You have not tweaked a single bullet point on your resume for investment banking or private equity interviews. All you carry home tonight are 11 new LinkedIn contacts, a free branded tote bag, and a career services director's glowing speech promising global impact. You crack a small smile. At the very least, you are no longer stuck grinding away at an unfulfilling full-time corporate job. Your first week at an M7 MBA feels like pure paradise.